And we're off. Another windy day in Vassiliki, northwest little island of Lefkada in Greece. Woo! Now, if you don't know, the wind here is called Eric. And when Eric arrives, this is the wind we get. So today's forecast said about 15 knots or so. But right now it's at least 25, if not more, in the gusts. And then the lulls we have, drops right down again. And what also happens is when Eric's really blowing like he is now, we're off again. We get what's called Eric's beard coming over the mountain. This is like wispy clouds from the phone effects that creates this nice wind around here. So as a few of these sessions this year, actually, there's been a big old beard coming through, making it a little bit cloudy and overcast, but still warm and windy like we have right now. This is the session, here we go! Fires, then it drops right down to nothing again, and then I'm off again in a second or two. I can see the gust coming. And today's session is all about the kit that I'm using, how I've set it up, the choices I've made along the way, and what is actually going on and why. So I should give you a bit of a kit introduction, a little bit of kit tuning, some thoughts and considerations for when you're going out on what this is, which is free race sort of gear. No cam slalom, and basically a comfortable version of full power slalom kit. It's probably the easiest way of describing what it is. Board and sail, that is. So I think we'll start up above. I'm on a 6.1 AC0 from Point-7, of course. And the AC0, basically what Andrea and the team at Point-7 have done is taken the AC1, the full power slalom race sails, and cut out the luff, cut out the cammed area, re-stitched it together to make it work without cams and keep as much profile, as much belly, and therefore as much stability as they possibly can. So it's got the look, it's got the feel of a full power race sail, but it's just that little bit lighter, a little bit easier to handle, but just as stable. And actually the tests that I've seen from a few of the guys, including Andrea, the head of Point-7 as well, speed difference, top speed, is very minimal difference between this and the full power race sail. Slightly slower to accelerate, slightly slower to get to the top speed. And across a long distance, the other ones will be slightly faster. The actual top speed is very, very similar. But the handling, the feel, and in particular, the jive, round I go, without cams, it's so much easier to drive. I've just done it in a lull. That was terrible timing. You still get that explosion of power as you pop the cams from one side to the other, or pop the no cams, but it feels like cams, it sounds like cams. But it's just a lot easier to handle, a lot lighter on your arms. Woo-hoo-hoo! There's a gust. So you'll see it in a number of the sessions this summer, I'm sure, the 6.1 AC0. Whoops! And it's really nice and efficient, really nice. In terms of tuning, basically, they know what they're doing. They've told you the right thing. So if you're on a standard mast from Point-7, the recommended one, follow the spec and you're not going to go far wrong. The amazing thing with Point-7 customer service, and I'm here to help too if you need it, is there's quite a few WhatsApp groups and chats of help me rig my sail, what's wrong with it, knowing that not everyone's got the same mast or has set things up slightly differently. So you can just reach out to the team and say, have I rigged this right, what do you recommend? And actually the usual response, and this is quite common with a lot of windsurfers, there's a lot of people under downhaul their sails. There needs to be a soft, loose leech. It needs to look flappy up at the top. If it doesn't, it feels powerful, but you just can't control the power. It's like grunty and twitchy and horrible. It's almost like you're holding a plastic bag in the wind. I've come off the plow, I'm slowing right down. as I was going to come into the beach and jibe, but no, not right now. Now, how much of a loose leech is always that question. And what we've got on top of these sails is a little red curve, a little red line that I can show you on screen just now. And it basically says, bring the soft grit, bring the D's between the battens into that line. That's your marker point. And it's very rare that I change that, as in less or more downhaul to affect how close to that marker point the D's actually come. I tend to tune it a little bit more on the outhaul. Now, what I haven't got, I quite like to get on this sail actually, is the adjustable outhauls. As in, when I'm sailing, I can adjust it. The reason for that is when I'm going upwind, I'd pull the sail a bit flatter and you'd go upwind harder. And then when you go downwind, you loosen that outhaul off a bit, you get more profile, more depth, and therefore a higher top speed. It's not just pull it and leave it, it's actually designed to be played with whilst sailing. And that's the bit I'm missing right now. I've set the sail nicely with a good deep profile, a nice bit of batten, a nice bit of belly to get me going when the wind blows. But I can't adjust it. So if I wanted to go upwind quicker, I'd want it flatter. If I wanted a higher top speed, I'd want more belly. I've gone mid-range. I do find actually, especially with this style of sail, these no-cam, slalom, crossover sails, a lot of people pull on far too much outhaul. There needs to be a profile, there needs to be a belly in the sail. And actually, as I'm going just now, pull the camera in, maybe you can just about see that if I do the editing okay. The sail is touching the boom on the other side, almost all the way to the harness lines. But because of this batten here, it doesn't matter. It just keeps the profile smooth and just gives me a nice bit of extra speed. I am heading upwind. I could go closer if the sail was flatter, but like I say, I haven't. When I get a nice gust, I go on a big old broadie. We'll go for a nice top speed. Here we are. Speeding up, gently railing the board, lifting my heels slightly. The profile is good for a good stable top speed just now. Except I'm back in a lull again, I'm slowing down. Hey, it's that sort of day, it's on and off. In case you're wondering, by the way, the camera I'm using today is the Insta360 X5. It's the new one for 2025. And to be honest, I've been using the FlyMount with the extension, the Duo, which is going to be released very soon, if not already, depending on when this one gets released, this video. But I'm on the classic FlyMount. This is just a small little gripper around the mast, just below the boom I've got it on today. There's no extension, but as I hope you can tell, it still gives a great view of what's going on and all the options to spin around, spin back towards me, or because I've got it slightly loose, I mean, it's definitely not loose, it's just not rock tight, clamped onto the mast, then I can spin it around and adjust it ever so slightly. So while I'm not moving, I'll reach forward. That's pulled the camera pointing slightly towards me, giving you a slightly different view to if I push it slightly away. It just gives you that freedom to play with it. There we go, we're off again. In the next gust. My definite tip when you're using the Insta cameras is set it for quick settings. There's a few little settings you can adjust. I'll show you on screen just now. It's very quick and easy. That one tap and the camera turns on and starts filming and whatever you've set the programs to do. One tap, the whole camera stops recording, shuts down and turns off. So rather than filming for hours and hours non-stop and having to edit it all, actually I'm about to do something, or I want to get this little clip, or I see a friend, hit the button, tap, it starts recording, hit the button, tap, turns off, and you're not rinsing battery or memory card space. Top tips on the cameras. I should suggest using a frame and or some electrical tape and a piece of string and making a security or a safety line. I should suggest that, I know that. But, hands in the air and honesty, I don't. and not once have I broken one, snapped anything, or lost one. So, hey, take that one as you like. There's some big yachts that are parked up in the bay today. It's worth remembering that yachts create quite a wind shadow. So I want to give them a good old distance to leeward downwind side of them, just to make sure I don't just fall in the water right behind a yacht. Other little tips in terms of sail, rigging, tuning, stuff that I've done. Right now I'm trying to head upwind. I've set my harness lines correctly. I could just about let go of the boom, or at least I'm holding it very loose. But what I've actually done is bring my backhand forwards to the harness line, and my front hand is about a fist or two's distance in front of the line. So this hand here is actually the one that's ever so slightly depowering, allowing me to get upwind a little bit. When I go for that speed run in a moment, my front hand will go back to the harness line, the back hand will go a little bit further back, allowing me to hold that sail that little bit more. Now then, down to the board. This is the Futura 100 litre from Starboard. This is designed off the back of the iSonic. They basically started with the iSonic, the full power slalom race board, used in all the PWA events, and if I'm remembering rightly, it's also the world champion speedboard right now, the fastest board on the planet because the iSonic speed. And all they've done is adjust it ever so slightly to make it more comfortable around the corners. So rounding the rails a little bit higher up on the board, just a little bit. Makes it more pleasant in the corners, a little bit more forgiving, a little bit nicer to ride. If I still got speed as I come into the drive, have for a second, I'm in the lull again. You can still feel the power, but the wind drops completely. We've had some crazy weather this last week, on and off and here and there, everything going on. Now, what have I done for the Futura to make it comfortable, usable, nice to ride? A few little tricks that I've thrown in there. First of all, the back foot straps are fully back. They're as far back as they can go on the holes of the board. And that means when I do start to accelerate, when I do really go for it and speed up, I'm far enough back that I'm not going to get thrown out the front. Just below the yacht, I was just talking about the wind shadows. I just knew I wasn't going to get above it. The front ones are a little bit more middle. They haven't gone all the way back because I do ride this board sometimes when I'm a little bit underpowered. So I've actually got a slightly wider stance than what would be normal because the front ones are a little bit further forward. But it just means I've got a bit of versatility. It's easier to get through the lulls like that. Easier to keep going if I do find myself in slightly less wind. I've got a gust, it's going to hold on the plane through. Feel those, boy, tons of power as those bands popped. Woo. The other thing I've done is when I launched, it looked really windy. I thought it was going to get a top speed. That was originally what I was thinking I might be filming today, but actually it's not as windy as I thought. It is windy, but I thought it was going to be more. So what I've also done is move the UJ just half a centimetre back, just a tiny little bit. It never really goes far from centre. My usual go-to is just whack it in the middle 99% of the time. UJ or mast-foot in the middle, and you'll be fine. But that little half a centimetre, possibly a centimetre at the most, will release the board a little bit more from the water when I start going for that downwind run. It's making it a little bit harder to get back upwind, but it was going to give me a higher top speed. What I haven't done for this board is something that you could consider doing if you want to upgrade a little bit, and that's a better fin. And the reason I haven't done it is the fins that come with these boards are actually really good already. They're the recommended size, They're carbon, they're good fins. So you could invest, and yes, it would improve the board, give you a higher top speed, perhaps a bit more stability. But actually, I haven't found the need to do that at all. This one feels good. And my final little consideration for you is, I do have an outhaul. It was a fun chat I was listening to with the Point-7 guys, where having an outhaul on your sail creates wind resistance and drag and actually slows you down. And what they've discovered, it's about a knot or two difference by having an outhaul to not. Now, I'm not racing. I'm not a racer. I've got no intention of getting new speed records, and I'm quite happy with my speeds that I can hit anyway. So 1 or 2 knots different for the sake of having an outhaul is a no-brainer for me. Whatever the conditions, I get that outhaul and make sure I've got one. But what I do is I make sure it's quite tight against the mast. Yes, it's elasticy, so it should pull fairly tight, but whack a couple of extra knots in it or make it pretty short. At least that way it doesn't get in your way when you're trying to tack, jibe. Or most importantly, and this is where it goes wrong with very long uphauls, water starting. When you've got a long uphaul, it often gets hooked around the foot straps or various things on the board, makes it much, much harder to actually get a water starting. It's just tripping you up all over the place. So have an uphaul, always and forever, but keep it taut. Make it short, keep it tight. So a short summary as I head back towards the beach then. First of all, the gear has had a lot of R&D that goes into it. Board, sails, everything. Follow the instructions. They're going to be pretty accurate. Rather than thinking, oh, I've heard it needs more of this and more of that. Well, actually, if it did, probably the guys designing and manufacturing and distributing the sails would have told you that. Second little summary is as much as we like going fast as windsurfers, is a speed kit, full power slalom cams and isonic style boards, is that the right thing for you? Now, I'm a fairly experienced windsurfer of reasonable level. I've sailed it, I've tried it. It's fast, it's powerful, but is it really necessary? Or can you actually have a more pleasant and longer sessions on the water? Is it generally going to make your life easier if you're on something like I'm on now? A no-cam slalom sail and a fast free race board. It's not that much difference in speed. It's a lot easier to handle, physically and technically. It's also a lot quicker and easier to rig. Even if you get it wrong slightly, it doesn't really matter when you're using this style of stuff. Whereas on the full race stuff, all that long time tuning and getting your batten tension correct, and whatever else, that really makes a difference. Less so on this here. Not a bad session, folks. Thanks as always for joining me. And there's a few lulls, a few gaps in the wind, but it's all good. Do remember, if you're enjoying this, all of my contact details are in the description for coaching sessions here in Vassiliki, as well as plenty more online stuff available. I've done a lot of online coaching this summer. And most importantly, woohoo, mega win just there. Most importantly, yes, these caps are available through the YouTube shop. You can find it just down below. I had so many messages going, how do I get my hands on a cap? Cookie caps and some other merch in the description below. There's a mega gust for about 10 seconds, not even that. See you soon, everyone. Whoop, mega lull now.